Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group. So in this video, we are going to complete a small project that will be, let's say, a project competition website. It's a website, but it has API integration and everything. Let's say any what do we say, committee or any college is there which organize some events over the time, right? Various different project competition or some paper writing or something. It can be anything. They organize some project competition or event competition, something, right? So they need a website where they will showcase like what are the ongoing competitions they have, right? And the student can register to their website and they can participate in that ongoing competition. So this is the whole flow. So there are two types of login. One is the college, means who will, they are the organizer, and another is the student who will log in and participate in the project. So as I said, like it's a website, so website should have a landing page. So this is our landing page. Here we will show all the ongoing competitions and just a basic information, past some winners and anything, right? Then remaining things are, let's say we have a website landing page is there, then we have to show the competition, whatever going on. This is like dynamic. With the API integration, we have to create the competition. College will be creating competition, okay? Then we will have student registration on the login page. Then college login will be there. Login page, same login page we will be using, but based on the role, we will show some details to the student, some details to the college. Then as student login, student will submit their project. Then on the college login, we have to show the student list, and competition winner will be set by the college login and will be visible to the student also. The APIs which we are going to use, it's on the free API project, freeprojectapi.com. So this is the means you, if you go to the basic website, this is the main event and you have to click on project APIs. All the project APIs are over here. So project competition, these are the APIs which we are going to use. Okay, very few APIs are there. Now I have used Lovable AI tool just to create the basic UI. So you can say this is the, again, see, so many guys are asking like why I'm not providing the template. You also has to uh, get friendly with the AI tool, because this is the UI which I have created by using the AI tool. So you should also get familiar, try to create it. If not, just contact me or my team on the WhatsApp. They will provide you the template. So this is your landing page where we will have some basic information. Then we have this registration page for the student. College doesn't have to register that. By default login will be created for the college login. So this is the first name, last name, email address, something details are there. Then this will be our login page. This is the dashboard page of the college. Once college logged in, you will be able to see the dashboard, and same for the student also. Some things will be hidden for college, some things will be showing to the student login. Then this is how the project submission form. So this is the project submission form which we have. From here, student will participate in the particular project. And this is the student list, whatever the multiple student have registered, we just need to show it to the college login. So this is the list for that. This is the UI we have. Now I have created a project of Angular 19. So how do we create the project? Ng new, then your project name. Then it will ask you like what CSS framework you need, CSS, last, right? So you need to select CSS. Then it will ask you another question like, do you need a server side SSR enabled or not? So you just have to say no. So once I create the basic project, so this is my project. Okay, again, it's an empty project only. I'm doing some things parallelly because I don't want to waste the time over here. So once I have created the basic project, I have installed Bootstrap and the font awesome, because in my UI template, I'm using Bootstrap and the font awesome. Then once you install these, entries of the Bootstrap and the font awesome will be added to your package.json over here. Fine. Then these are your third-party libraries. So to use it across the application, you need to add the entries of the CSS into our angular.json. See in the style section. So whatever the external libraries you are using, either it's what do we say, Bootstrap or Font Awesome or any third-party library, all CSS we need to add it over here. Then if you are going to use the JS, so we have to add an entry over here also in the script section. Here I'm going to use the bootstrap.js because I have this drop down which will work fine if we use the bootstrap JS. Okay, it started now. So if you see, these are the multiple pages we have. So now we have to create the component. Fine. Now let me just go over here. Let me close it. So in app folder, we will create a pages folder. Basic architecture we will set up. So in pages folder, we will have all the components which are going to be connected with our route. Fine. So let's open new terminal. A new terminal will open on that particular folder. Ng generate. Either you can write full form also. Then component. Let's say first is like home component I'm creating. In this home component, we will have our what do we say? The landing page. Fine. Navbar we will keep it into our app component, and the remaining home landing page UI we will keep it in the home component. Enter. So this will create our component. So as it so home component is created. Now after that we need to create the remaining component. So either you can write the full form of generate and component, or you can go with the shortcut also ng g component and then let's say register. Enter. So this will also create the same component. Fine. So let me just create remaining component. I'm just pausing it for now. Fine. So you can see I have created all the component. Now in the pages folder, you can see whatever the components I have created that are visible over here. Now, once you create the component, next thing should be you have to create the routes. As Angular is a single page application, so we have to create the routes. So when we create the project, by default, we get app route.ts. So in this file, we have to create the routes. So by default, in previous version, this used to be a module, but now it's just a constant file. Here we are creating the route, and this route we will be accessing into our app config over here. Fine. Now let's create the route. So as this is a website, by default, particular page should default be open, right? Any web application, what we access, by default, some page will be there. So we will have a default route over here. So now route is nothing but an object, right? So we have path with empty redirect to, it means URL doesn't have anything where we have to redirect. So home and path mesh strategy, we have to specify full. So this is my route. Then we need to create another route that will be home one. So this is my default route. If we don't have anything in the URL, it will redirect to the home route. Component, home component. Fine. Like this, I need to create the remaining component now. Fine. So I have created all the component route. What are the components we created? All component routes I have created. Fine. Now let's close this. We are done with this. Now, as I said, this is kind of a website structure. So this navbar, we will keep it into our app component. Fine. So this is my HTML. So let's go over here. Let's copy the navbar. So this is my navbar. This I need to put it into my app component. And after app component, we need router outlet as well. Router outlet is a directive which is responsible to load the activated route component. Fine. Now let's run this also. Terminal. Let's open new terminal on the parent folder. Ng serve. Enter. So this will run your project. Let it compile. It won't work because we are going to need the CSS. Just let me run first. So localhost 4200. So you can see something is coming, right? Navbar is coming, but it's not, the CSS is not getting applied because the CSS, I have it over here for that navbar. So this is my global CSS, the CSS which are going to be needed on all the pages. So I will copy this and I need to put this into my global CSS. So I have style.css. So here I will be putting it. Now you can see we got the same navbar what was available over here. Understood? So we got the navbar. Now in home component, by default, you can see if I don't put anything, sorry, still it is navigating the home component because we have created our default route. Fine. Now in home component, what we are going to have, the remaining section of the landing page. Means this remaining section of the landing page will be going into the home component. Fine. So let's get it. So this hero section, let me just copy whole thing. And footer, we will put it into our, what do we say, app component. Fine. So let's move this first and I will put it into my home component. Let's save it and let's check it. So now you can see Images are not coming. Why? Okay, now it is coming. Fine. So now you can see the home page is currently coming. Okay. Now, so we got the landing page ready. Again, like it's just a copy paste thing. You can also either you use ChatGPT, Bolt tool, or Lovable or Cursor, any AI tool you can use and just provide the prompt like create me a what we will say, create me a website landing page using Bootstrap for a college project competition. So it will provide you something like this. All AI tool will be providing you similar to something like this. Okay. Obviously, theming and combination you need to specify what color combination, what icons you need. Like that, it will specify. Okay. Now, so our home component is ready. By default, landing page is ready. Now, first thing is like we need to complete the student registration page. So if I click on the register, I should be able to navigate to the student registration page. So we have this nav bar, right? So in our nav bar, let me close this. So now here you can see we have got register button. Okay. So if user is not logged in, we are going to show this, right? So on click of it, you can say href is there, but href we cannot use it in Angular, right? So what do we have in parallel to the href? Router link, right? To navigate from one component to another from the HTML, we use router link, just like href. So here we have to import that also, router link. Fine. Then over here, router link, and where you have to navigate. So register page. Let's get the route of register, whatever the route name you created. This is our route name. This will go over here. Just like that for the login also I'm doing. Login. Fine. Let's just save and check if we are able to navigate. So if I click on register, you can see I'm able to navigate and register component is also loading. Now I need the register UI. So this is my register UI. So this I need copy. So again, we will go to our register page. Let's get the content. So this is my form. Let's copy. Now this UI will go to my register component. Let's save. Now you can see register page, our form is coming. Fine. Now, so here on click of register, we need to integrate the student registration API. Let's check the API. So if you check it over here, here we will have register API. Fine. If you check the object, we got, wait, we got full name, email, password, college name, and role. But in my form, I can see so many things. How come I'm able to see so many things? Okay, I think I didn't provided the prompt to the lovable correctly, but still. So we will remove the unnecessary thing. So in your form, this is the object what you need to send to the API. So only these things should be there. Now role is going to be managed by API. Even if you send it or not, by default, it is going to be student because as I said, college is not going to get registered because the hardcode login will be there already created for the college. So we just need four things over here: full name, email, password, and the college name. Let's remove the remaining thing. We don't need all those things. So first name and the email, first name and the last name is not there. So we have full name. Fine. So we will say full name over here. We don't need this. So this is the first. Then we have email. So email will be there. Then we need password. So college is not there. So let's remove it. Department phone number is also not there. So let's remove it. I think some fields are in the submit project. Fine. And confirm password also we don't need. Then agree terms also we don't need. Let's save. Okay, so we got full name, email address, and the password. Only three things are there. Let's see if we are missing anything. Okay, sorry, college name was there. We removed the college name. Where it was. Okay, let's use this over here. Full name and then college name. Fine. So you can see we got the full name, college name, email ID, and the password. Now on click of create account, we have to integrate our this register API. Now we are moving towards the API integration. Again, we have the form also. Now in Angular, we have two types of form: template form and the reactive form. So I will start with the basic. Then as we move ahead with the different component, I will slowly start using the advanced concept also. So for now, I'm going with the template form because that's easy to understand and relative also. Now we are using the template form. So template form gets identified by using ng model directive. So whatever the things we have it over here, we have to integrate with the ng model directive with our object. Now, if you see the object, this is our object. So we need to copy it. And in our component .ts, we have to create a variable. Let's say register obj. I'm going with any for now. Again, I will be creating class at interface, but for now I'm going with any. As I said, I will be going with very basic thing. So what we did, we created a variable, and inside that variable, we have stored our object. Fine. Let me remove this. Now, this object, we need to bind to our form. Let me close everything. So this is the object which we have created. Now this object we have to bind to our form. Means not this object, particular field. So we have to use ng model for that. So if you are going to use ng model, you have to import forms module into the component itself. Like this. Okay. Then this object you need to bind to all the input element by using ng model directive. Round bracket, square bracket, ng model is equal to your object dot, what will be the field? Full name, you need to bind it over here. Okay, like this I will copy. Then second is the college name. So here this field I need to bind. Let me copy. So email address and the password is there. Let's bind the remaining field. Password will go over here and email will go over there. Role, we are not going to do it in the UI, but by default, we will send it as empty. API is going to insert some data into the role. By default, student. So it doesn't matter if you send it or not, but because API is going to handle that. So we created object, that object we have binded to the form by using ng model directive. We imported this. Let's save and check if something is wrong over there. As a UI developer, now always your console should be on. If I navigate to the register, so if you check the console, we are getting an error. So error is if ng model is within a form tag, you need name attribute present. So if you are using ng model inside a form tag, then name attribute is also mandatory. So this is like name attribute, and whatever the property you bind it over here, same you need to bind it. Okay. Let's quickly copy paste and change the field name. Here, password will go, email and college name. If I save, see now we don't have error. Okay, something else is there. Hash first name. I think two. Yeah. So you can see we have two elements with the same ID. That's why we got the warning. Okay. Now we can ignore that, or let's change it also. Okay. Now, so on click of create account, we need to integrate our API. Now we are moving towards the API integration. So in Angular, if you have to integrate the API, what you need to do is first you need to go to our app config. First of all, in Angular, we do the API call by using fetch API also, which is directly from the JavaScript, or Angular itself has a library that is HTTP client to make the API call. So in app config, we need to add provide HTTP client instance. So provide HTTP client. This is what you need to add. It's an array, right? You can see provide chain detection is there, provider router and provided HTTP client. This is what we have added. So whenever you have to make the API call, first thing you do is unit in providers array, you need to add provide HTTP client. Fine. Now let's close it. Now we can make the API call. So for now, as I say, I'm going with the basic. So now we can create the service also, but for now I'm creating API call into my component only. From component only, I will be triggering the API call. Now, so we have to inject our HTTP client service. Okay, how do we do that? So HTTP is equal to inject, and then we register HTTP client service over here. So this is how we have created the instance of our HTTP client service. Now we need a function on register. Fine. Now from this function, we are going to make the API call. So this dot HTTP dot post API call it is. If you check the Swagger documentation, see the method of the API is post. Fine. So post API. Now we need the URL. Let's just get the URL. So this is my URL. This URL will go over here as the first parameter. Okay. Now let me close this so that we can see properly. Post API need two parameter. First URL and what object you need to store. Post API normally we use to create new object into the database, to insert new data into the database. So obviously this is your URL. So what data you need to insert? So we need the second object, that is nothing but our second parameter, that is nothing but our object. So this object we need to pass it over here. So this dot like this. Then we can subscribe. So subscribe is like, this is actually which is going to trigger this piece of code. Okay. Subscribe result colon any. We are just going to have the subscribe block, error block I'm not writing for now. If API call is success, our subscribe block will execute. And here we will simply show the alert box like student registration success. Fine. Let's add a debugger since we are making the API call for the first time. Let's add a debugger and check it also properly. Okay. Let's try integrating the API call now. So let me show you the existing data also. If you see over here, get all user, let's test it. So currently you can see I just have one record response. Okay. Now we are going to register. Let's say I'm registering with my name, college name, let's say PC something, Chetan @gmail.com, and password 112233, something password I'm passing. Okay. Again, as I said, I'm going with basic form validation. If you know it, you can have that pattern also, like minimum character, maximum, alphabetical, numerical, like that. Let's try to inspect now. If I click on create, oh, we forgot to add the event. See, we created this function, but we didn't call this function on the create button, right? So we have this button over here. We will call our function. So that will be click event and the function name. Instead of submit, let's go with input type button. Fine. Let's save it and check it. Now we have to fill the form again. Let's do it quickly. So Chetan, PC, email, and password 112233. Fine. Now on click of create account, you can see our function got triggered. Now if I use my mouse and hover on this, see whatever the data you fill into the form, that you got into the object, because this object we have binded to that form. Correct. Now we are making the API call. Continue. Yeah, we got the response. So in the result, you can see we got the message like user registered successfully. Means user has successfully done the registration. Fine. Now let's check the API again if the data is inserted properly or not. See, user ID 2. So whatever, oh my God, role, I think I forgot to pass it in the API. As I said, now role will be handled by the API, but I think it is not happening. So what we will do now, for now, we will add the role as student hard code. Anyway, okay. By the time you will check the API, I will do that change also. You don't have to send it. Even if you send it, I will hard code it on the API side. Fine. So student is able to register. Now let's try the login also. So if you check the API after the user registration, you have immediately login API. For the login API, what you need to send email and the password. Again, post API integration because we have to send the object, right? Now we have to go to the login. Registration component work is done. So I'm closing this component. Now we have to move to the login component. Now again, login UI is there, correct? So let's go to the HTML. Let's get the login component. This is my form. Let's copy it. And this will go to my login HTML. Fine. Let's try to navigate and see if the login component is coming properly or not. Yeah, you can see login component is coming properly. Now on click of sign in, we have to integrate our login API. Now in the registration API, we have done the template. Now here we will go for the reactive. So as I said, moving step by step, I will be moving to the advanced part so that we can use all the concept, whatever the concept you might have done from the tutorial. All concept we have to use while working on a project. That's how you increase your knowledge. Okay. Make sure whenever you are doing the project now, don't use template form out all the time. Sometimes go for a reactive, even sometimes try the dynamic form, try to create the dynamic from reading the JSON or something. Always go one step ahead. Okay. Now, so again, this is the object what we need to send. So for this, we have to create the reactive form. Okay. Now, how do we create the reactive form? So first, if you have to use ng model, you need to import the forms module. If you are going to use reactive form, so you need to import reactive form module. This is the first thing. Then login form colon form group we have to create is equal to new form group round bracket curly bracket. Okay, this is how we create the reactive form. Now, what are the controls we have? Properties we need to send. That will be nothing but our control. So email colon new form control. We will initialize with empty. Fine. Then second control will be our password. So let's copy password again new form control like this. So we have created our reactive form. Now there are two ways to create the reactive form. First by using form grip and second by using form builder also. Okay. So make sure again you also while practicing sometimes go for form group, sometimes go for a that service also form builder. So we created for this form. Now this form we need to bind to our login form. Let's open it side by side. Now in reactive form, whatever the form name you have created, this form name you need to bind it to your form group by using form group attribute over here like this. So this form name you have binded to your form tag. Then whatever the elements you have, so email address. So here you need to bind form controller name is equal to then your control name. Control name is email. So you already specified this is my form. So it will going to find this control is there or not like this. Then on a password here password will go fine. So we created a template for reactive form and that form we have binded. Now we don't need this, remember, so let's remove it. Now, on click of sign in. One more thing. So as I say, like we should go for input type button, but we can go for input type submit also. But if your button type is submit, on the form level, you can write the events. So that is so that will be on submit event. Okay. Now on click of submit, we have to write our event. So this will be our function. Okay. So on click of submit button, this function will trigger. Okay. Now, as I said in the registration, we have done the API call from our component only, but now we will create the service. So instead of writing the API call into your component directly, now we will be creating our service. Fine. So let's create a service first. So in in folder, we have just created a pages folder. Now in app folder, I'm going to create one more folder that will be to store the services. Services. Fine. Now in services folder, I need to create my first service. That will be our, let's say user service. Ng generate service and user. Fine. So this is my user service got created. Let me show you. See, this is what service looks like. Okay. Above the class, you can see this is my decorator. If you open any component above the class, you can see this is component decorator. This is injectable decorator means service. So these are various types of decorator. This is a class decorator. Again, so many decorators are there. We will see whatever we are going to use. Now, so instead of doing the API call into component, we can do the API call function into our service also. That's the best way because our component should not have, what do we say, any complex logic. Component should be only responsible to do the manipulation or the DOM manipulation of your HTML template. Your services logic, some utility function, whatever the logic you have, that should move to your service. Okay. That's what like that single responsibility principle we have to follow from the solid, right? So now in service, we have to inject our HTTP service. So I can do private HTTP colon HTTP client. So this is the old way how we used to inject the service. From Angular 16, we got that inject, but this is also possible. Now on user login, a function I'm creating. Now from this function, whenever I'm calling this function from my component, I'm going to pass the object, right? We need to pass the login object, na? What user ID and the password email and the password we are going to pass. So we need to catch that over here. So obj colon any, again, I'm going with any, but in the next component, I will be creating class and interface. Now return this dot HTTP dot post API call. Again, it's a post API call only. Now let's get the URL. Now the URL will be almost same, just method name will get changed. So from register, we will copy this URL. So this will be constant. Then just login, my method name for the, we need to change. Okay. Now, as I said, first API needs two object. This is the URL and second is the object. So this function is going to make the API call, and whatever the response we get, that is going to return. Fine. Now we have created our service. Now this service we need to inject into our login component. Fine. So over here, user service inject. What we need to inject? Our user service. This one. Okay. Now here, this dot user service dot, currently we just have one function. This function needs the parameter. Now here we don't have the object. We have the form. So we have to extract the object from it. So constant form value is equal to this dot login form dot value. Now you will get the object from this. And this object we need to pass it over here. Dot subscribe, sorry, dot subscribe, round bracket. Now there is something new. Sorry, let me just. Is that next coming? Next colon. Just write the syntax. Wait. Something is wrong. I'm trying to find the another syntax with what we have got. Next. Sorry, round bracket. Okay, now here we can have next. Something I'm missing. Subscribe we have done. Let me write it one more time. I'm not used to that another syntax. Subscribe we will do. Wait. So this function is returning observable type of data. So the syntax was inside this, we need to write the curly bracket. Then we can use next like this. This will be your subscribe. Then error colon like this. Okay. So this is the new syntax what we have. This is your success. And if something error happens, this will execute. Okay. Now here we will say user found. Means once API call is success. And we will say navigating user found only. Okay. Now from the login API, now we are going to get the response. Let's check it first. So this is my API, right? What was the credential we created? This is my email ID. Let's try the login. This is my email and password was I think 11223344. 33 only. I'm doing the wrong password. Request body. So you can see, wait, why it is saying invalid credential? Okay, invalid credential. So we are getting the wrong credential. But if I remove the 44, this is my actual password, test endpoint. So here you can see we got the complete object. User ID we got and the full name we got. Means user is successfully logged in. Okay. Now, so this API call we need to integrate. Let's try it now. Let's add a debugger over here. And if error is there, it will go to over here and where we will say wrong credential. Let's add a debugger in both the places over in the next and in the error also. And in the service also, because from component, we are going to make the API call over here. Let's save it and check it now. Okay. Now, so the user ID was chetan@gmail.com and I'm passing the wrong password first now. Now on click of sign in, you can see we have got triggered our API function from our login component. Now, if you see, In the form object, you got the object. See, from the reactive form, we have extracted our object, what we need to send to the API. From component, we are making we are executing a function from our service. So now it will go over here and see whatever the object we pass that we got it over here. From here, actually, we are making the API call. And once the API call is success, it will return the response. So continue. Yeah, so see, we got into the error block because credentials are incorrect. Okay, now let's pass the correct credential. 112233. Execute. Now here you can see we got the correct credential. Continue. Now see our next block got executed. Okay, but here we didn't catch the response. So we need to catch the response, whatever it is sending, right? So for that, we need to write result over here. And whatever the result we get means the user detail we got, right? So that in the response, we are getting the, what, let me show you. We are getting the user ID. So this user ID we will store to our local storage. So this user ID we need to store into our local storage or session storage because on the browser level, we need to store somewhere which user is logged in. So this user ID I will store. So local storage dot set item student ID, and what we will store result dot user ID like this. I will be capital, and we didn't specify the data type. That's why it is giving error. If I say any, now it is, you can see error is not there. Capital user ID. Fine. And then we are showing the alert user found. Now let's do it one more time because this is the new code what we have written. Let's try. Let me clear the local storage first. So chetan@gmail.com 112233. On click of sign in, we will get the API response. See over here, we got the response, and from that user ID, we are storing to the local storage in the student ID key. If you check the local storage now, you can see student ID we have got. So now user is logged in. Now here, if the user is logged in, instead of showing this login and the registration button, we should have that other, what do we say, drop down, right? Let me show you that. Now our navbar is in our app component over here. So if user is not logged in, we have to show this. Otherwise, we have to show this drop down, other drop down. Okay. Let me see if that other drop down comes properly. We might need the bootstrap.js, but let's see. Yeah, you can see drop down is coming, but we are not able to expand that because it needs that bootstrap.js. So let's add it also in our angular.json. Over here, it will be, let me find the correct path where it is bootstrap, then dist is there, then JS, and we need bootstrap.bundle.js. So this JS we are going to need. So this I will put it over here. Now I'm adding the bootstrap.js. Whenever you make changes to the angular.json, make sure you run your project again because otherwise compile, it won't have the new changes. Fine. So I'm running it again. So now that drop down should work. Let's reload. Now you can see the drop down started working. Okay. So if user is logged in, we have to show this drop down, otherwise login and the registration button. How we are going to decide? So if in the local storage we have the student ID means user is logged in. Fine. So now what we need to do in app component, we will check if the user is logged in or not. But that instead of doing that in the app component and reading the local storage data, we can do it in the our service also. So here logged user ID colon string or number also anything string is equal to, I'm making it empty. Now on the constructor, I'm reading the local storage data, logged data, local storage dot get item. And what's our key name? Our key name is student ID. So this key name will go over here. We are reading the local storage data. Whenever you read the local storage data, you need to add a null check. So if log data is not null, then only we need to read the data and put it into this variable. So this dot logged in data is equal to log data. Okay. Now, so in our service, we have created a variable. This variable will decide if the user is logged in or not. If the variable is empty means user is not logged in. If it is has some ID means user is logged in. So in our app component, we will integrate our user service. Fine. So user service inject. What we will inject? Our user service. Fine. Now in user service, we have that variable. So that variable we can directly access into our HTML. So we will use at the rate if control flow statement. If user ID dot logged in user ID equal to empty means our user is not logged in. So we have to show this div, and at the rate else if user ID is not empty means we have some ID over there. So we have to show this. Okay. Let's save this and check if we are able to perform it. Let's save, let's save, let's save. So currently in my local storage, I have the ID. So you can see drop down is coming. Okay. If I, let's say, if I remove this, delete, and if I reload again, so now you can see again login and the registration button is there. Fine. Let's complete that logout functionality also. So over here, we have this login logout button. So here, let's right click event on log off. Let's create this function. Now on click of log off, we need to do two things. First, we need to remove the local storage data. So local storage dot remove item. What will be our item name? That is student ID. We need to remove. And again, that variable also we need to remove. So this dot user service dot logged user ID is equal to by default, we will set it as empty. Fine. And we have to navigate back to the login page because let's say user logged in. He's currently on the, let's say inside the application, some dashboard or page. But if he logged off, again, we need to navigate him back to the website. So we need to we need to navigate him back to the main landing page also. For that, we will use router service. Inject router. Okay. And after this dot router dot navigate by URL. This is how you navigate from your .ts. So here I will remove navigate to home. Fine. Let's see if the login and the every all thing. So by default, the user is not logged in. So you can see login and the registration button is there. Let's log in 112233, sign in. Right, something is okay. So now you see we got the error. If I reload it, everything will be fine. Okay. And after login also, we didn't navigate anywhere, right? So if user is successfully logged in, we have to navigate to him in dashboard or somewhere. So let's import this over in the login component. One by one thing we have to go. Let's add the import. So if user is logged in successfully, we have to navigate him back to the home component. Fine. Then he can navigate wherever he wants. Again, that menus will be there. So we will navigate him back to the home component. Fine. And one more thing we will need by default when user is logged in, because we are on the login component, right? But once user is logged in, our app component needs to run it again, right? So let's see if that is happening or not. Let's do the log off again first. On click of logout, you can see login and logout button is coming and we are navigating to the home component. Let's try it one more time. 112233, sign in. Yeah, but see, this thing is not there. But once I reload, it is happening. So this is happening because in this user service, when service got executed for the first time, there only we are reading. After login, again, we need to set this particular variable. So that we can do in our login component. So these are the small issues you are going to face. You need to handle it like this. And you will be storing this variable again over here. Now it should work fine. Let's save it and check it one more time. So log out, log in. So see, by just simply login page also takes so much of time because we have so many scenarios to handle. On click of sign in, see, now it is coming proper. If I log out again, I'm going back and local storage data is also removed. Fine. So first module we have completed, that is user authentication, login and the registration process is done. Now we will first create the competition from in the college login, and then use student will participate in that competition. Fine. So we completed the login and the registration process. So as I said, like we have two main roles. One is the student and one is the college. So student will be registering from over here and we will be using the login page. But as I said, for college, we will just have the one user that will be created by hard code login will be there. So in the user, I have already created one user that will be admin. So you can see this is the user which will be admin, means college login will be this. So let's try to log in with this. Login. This is your password and sorry, password I forgot. I think it was admin only. Let's try admin because password is encrypted, so I'm not sending it back with the API in user. Let's try it on sign in. Yeah, we got the response. And in the result, you can see we got the role as admin. Okay. So if you logged in as a college with the college user role, you will get admin. Otherwise, it will be student only. Fine. Now, so this whole thing in the response, you are getting the whole object. Now, this whole object we need to store into our local storage. We have stored the user ID, but we need to store the whole response also. So in login success, we are storing the user ID just like that. Local storage dot set item. I'm storing the whole user object. Logged user. And when we are storing the local storage data, we have to store it into the string format. We cannot store directly array or object. We need to convert it to string. So JSON dot stringify method we will use, and we will pass the whole object, that is result. Fine. Now, so this is what we have done. Now in the college login, now we have two roles. Obviously, if the college logged in, we have to show some different menu. If the student login, we have to show some different menu. Based on the role, our menus will be different. Fine. So that we need to do. So our navbar is in our app component, right? Here we have our navbar. So in navbar, let's say home is there, competition is there, or these are the menus are not there. Let's say we need competition, like college will be creating multiple competition, right? Because multiple competitions are there, so they need to create it along with the details we have. So we have the API also for the creation of the competition. So that we are going to first complete. So our route for the competition was, wait, I think I didn't create the route. Let me check the API first. I forgot or what? Mm, yeah. I have the API. See, competition ID API is there. Yeah, post API is over here. So we can create the competition, but we need the component also for that. Let me just create one more component. Ng generate component competition. Let me just create quickly the route. So because from this page, college will be creating multiple competition. Okay. So fine. And this URL, we have to put it over here on router link. Fine. Let me check if it is running. Yeah. So we are able to navigate to the competition. Now in this competition, we are to integrate this API. So if you see the object, we have competition ID, that is our primary key, title of the competition, description, start date, and then the status, like it is going or closed or hold, whatever status we need to give. So it's a simple form, right? So uh, let me check if we have UI for the competition. I think I didn't create the UI for creating the competition. Yeah. Okay. Let's create a normal form for this. Let's close it. Or let's try ChatGPT. We will ask ChatGPT to create the UI design form for this competition. So this is our object. Okay. So what we will do, we will copy this object. We will paste it over here. And we will say, I need CRUD UI design for this object. Now we need to specify like what technology also, right? So use Bootstrap to design this. Again, let's say you need in a single component you are going to do the CRUD operation. So you need two card. In one card you will have the list, and another card you will have the form. So use card design row call, let's say call 7 for table and call 5 for form. Let's see. It should give us the basic HTML code. Yeah, it is providing the basic HTML because we didn't specify Angular or something. We just provided like we need HTML, so it is providing the basic HTML page. Let it write complete code. See, use AI like if you are comfortable with UI and like you have experience, so don't waste your time writing or creating the UI. Use AI to what we say to remove that unnecessary work and the unnecessary time wasting in just to design the UI, right? So you can save that time by using the UI. Now we need this. Let's copy, and this HTML code will go over here. Let's save and check how our page is coming. So see, we got the page. Okay, we don't need this title, so we will remove it. Yeah, so let's remove this. And we need to match this with the remaining things. So I will copy where we had that. Okay, let it be for now. So we got the UI. So if you see in the last, in the first card, we have the list of the competition, and here we will have the form. So competition ID we don't need. So let's remove that because that's a primary key ID, primary key. So we don't show the primary key in the UI. So title we have, then description, start date, end date, and the status. So status by default, we will send it as a hard coded one or new. Then in the update mode, we will update it. So for now, we will keep it, but in the update mode only, this should be visible. Fine. So this is our form. Now, this is our object. So now in the login and the registration process, we have, when we created the variable, we have gone with any. Now we will use the class or the interface. So you should not use any whenever you are creating any object. So let's copy this. Now I have to create the interface or class. Basically class I will create. So in src folder app, again, I will create one folder that we will say model. In model, first class I'm creating for the competition. Competition.model.ts. Now inside this TS, we have to create a class. So export class our competition model. These are the things we are going to have. Now we just need to provide a proper data type to this. Colon number. Just like this. Colon string will be over here. Fine, just like this. Let me just replace it. So whenever you do the API integration, now see what object you need to send along with the API. You copy that and you create the properties like this. So this is like a class you have created. Just whatever the properties you have to send along with your API, that you will create it over here along with the specific data type. Fine. So since it's a class, so it will have an access to the constructor. So that's the error we are getting, saying like these properties are not initialized. So what we have, it's a class, so we can have constructor, and in constructor we will initialize all the properties. By default, it will be 0. Then description, it will be empty. Start date is equal to empty. Just I'm going with string only. End date is equal to empty. Status is equal to, by default, I'm setting as new because as I said, we need to send the by default status from UI when we are creating. So this dot, what is remaining? Title. Again, we will initialize this empty. So this is your class will look like. Whenever you do the API integration, see what object you have, you will create a class like this. Now, in our HTML, so let's close this. Now here we have to, again, we will use the template form now. So new object, data type will be competition model. is equal to new. We have to initialize this particular model. It's a class, so we can initialize it like this. So whenever you do like this, your constructor get executed and all the properties from your class get initialized to whatever the default value you said in the constructor. Fine. Again, as I said, we are going to use forms template forms, so we have to import forms module over here. Let's open it side by side now. Sorry, I closed that. Fine. So this is our class. This is our form. So everywhere we need to bind the ng model. So square bracket, round bracket, ng model is equal to double quotes. Now here our new object dot. See the benefit of creating class. It will provide you all the properties of the IntelliSense, right? Like whatever the properties we have in that particular class, it will IntelliSense over here. So now you won't make the spelling mistake and any wrong property name you won't be using because it is providing everything, right? If you specify anything, still it will give you an error, right? So this is strongly type what we do. So this is for title. So title, again, name property also we need name dot same property what you bind it over here, it will go over here. Now I will copy and paste it over here. Here description, here start date. Instead of date time local, I just need date only. Fine. Then we have end date and here status. And same property we need to bind it over here. Okay. So we created object, that object we have binded to the form. Now we need API call integration, right? On click of say we are going to do the API call integration. So for that we need the service, right? So in service, now I will create one more service. See, if your project is small, it doesn't matter, let's say around 5 to 6 components or even 12 components or 13 components are there. So you can write all the services API call function into single service also. But again, just to separate your code, you should create multiple services according to your module. Now all the user related services will go, function will go over here. Now we are moving towards the competition. So all the API call function related to competition should be in a separate service. So let's create one more service. Whenever you are appearing for the machine test also, now try to create multiple service so that you are explaining to the interviewer like, yes, we can create multiple services, right? Generate service according to the module we should create it. Let's say competition. Enter. So it will create our competition service. Now, so in competition service, we need the API calls now. Let me close everything for now. Now again, we need to inject our private HTTP client. Fine. Now here we need the API call. So first we'll be like create competition. Now in all the API call, our URL is going to be common, right? So this is the URL which will be common. Just our method name is going to change. So this I will put it into my constant file. So we can go for the environment file also, but I don't want to make things complicated. So that's why I'm creating a constant folder. Constant. And inside this constant folder, I will be creating my constant file. Constant.ts. And here we have to create a constant. So export const constant. Okay. API URL. And my common URL, I will put it over here. Normally we move this into our environment folder, but like considering like you are fresher or some of you are going to be a fresher. So that's why I'm not going with the environment folder, but same thing we will do it over there also. Fine. You have to, those who are experienced, you can create the environment folder by ng generate environments. It will create the folder and this you can move it over there. Fine. Now we have created a constant over there. We have put our common URL. So now over here also we can use that. So constant dot API URL. So now I don't need this static everywhere else. I will just need the method name like this. Okay, like this. Now in our service also, so return this dot http dot post API call. So constant dot API URL plus let's get the method name for the create. So method name will be like this. Let me just test it. This is my URL. And we need an object because this function we are going to call from the component. So we will need an object for that. So obj, what type of data we are going to get? Competition model, right? And this object, we will pass it as a second parameter over here. This is your API call function for create. Just like that, let's create a get API call also. So it will be get competition. Method will be, instead of post, it will be get. We won't need a parameter because it's simple a get API call. And let's check the method name also. Competition. Okay, I think I forgot to create API to just get all the competition. Yeah, we don't have API. Just post API is there. Then we have API for. Okay, so I have created this get API, which will get us all the competition. Just now I have created. It will be available in the Swagger also, but I didn't deploy this yet. Okay. Now this will be my get API to get all the competition. So this is my method name. So this will go over here, a simple get API. Okay. Now we have two API call for create, one for the create competition and one for the get all competition. Now this API call we need to integrate into our component. Fine. Let's move back into our competition component. Now, here if you see, we have created this object. This object we have binded to our form also. Now we on click of this save, we need to integrate our API. So click on save. Fine. Let's create this function quickly. Now our API call function is on a service. So let's create instance of our service also. Is equal to inject. What we need to inject? So competition service. Fine. Now here we need to integrate the API call. So this dot competition service dot, currently we have two API call function, but on save this function we need to call. This function needs a parameter. So this dot new object we will pass dot subscribe round bracket curly bracket next arrow function. Fine. Now this will be our success call. This will be our error clock. If API call is success, this will execute. Otherwise this. So here we will say alert competition created. Fine. And here we will get the error. So that error we will show it over here. Alert. We will simply say API error for now. And just like this same method, we need one more to get all the competition. Fine. So let's copy paste, get all. And instead of this create competition, it will be get competition. We don't need object parameter for this function. Now we need a variable also to store all the competition we get. So grid list colon, what type of data I'm going to get? A list of this. So array of this like this. Okay. Now whatever the data we get, that we will get it over here. So this dot grid list is equal to, here I will say result API response. We will catch it over here. Then this we will store it over here. What is the error? Okay. So now you can see here we have specified the data type of this. Like in this variable, we are going to store array of this. But this function, we didn't specify the return type, right? So here also we need to specify the return type. So colon, observable type of data we are going to return, and competition model array like this. So everywhere you need to provide a proper data typing so that it will match what data we are going to get, what data we are going to store. And this function we need to call on the page load. So we will use our lifecycle event, that is on init, and then ng on init. And here we need to call this function, that is get on. Fine. Let's just format it. Now our two API call functions are ready, get and the post. Now get, we will get the data over here. This we need to iterate on the table. So here you can see this is the tr we will have. So at the rate for control flow statement I'm using. On this array we need to iterate, and this tr will go inside this. Here we have to show the serial number. So dollar index we will use. Indexing will start from the 0, so we have to increment by 1. Then here interpolation item dot, what it will be, title. Let me just copy paste this now. We don't need edit and delete functionality for now, so let's remove it. Here title is there, then start date, then end date. This is what date we are going to get. So let's add a date pipe also. To use date pipe, first we need to import the date pipes. So over here, pipe we need to import, then we can use the date pipe. So start date slash date, and we can pass the format. So dd -mm -yyyy. Just like this, copy and paste it over here. Let's format it properly. Fine. So everything is ready. Now we just have to test it. This is static. Why static is visible? Okay, I think currently we have one record over here. If you see the API, currently we just have one data over here. Now let's try to create. Let's say competition is like paper presentation competition is there. Description something. Start date, let's say it is going to start from 1st of April, and then sorry, June to 30 June. Okay. And status by default, okay. We are setting by default as new, so it doesn't matter. Let's check the API call. One more thing, after save, we didn't call the get API, but let's see if competition is getting created first. So on click of save, one API call is there and return is 201, means competition got created. Okay, currently it is not visible because on click on success of save, we didn't call this function. So this function we need to call it over here also. So that once the competition is created, we will again call the get API. So the latest record will be visible. Now you can see paper presentation is visible. Now if I say web Fista something, name I'm giving, description, let's say it is going to start from 15th of the June until last 30. Okay. If I click on save, competition created, and you can see the latest record is visible over here. Got it? So we are able to create the competition. Okay. Update and the deleting you can do, because I need to complete so many things. So I'm skipping the edit and the delete part. But the same thing I have completed in so many tutorials. So just refer any and just complete the edit and the delete operation. If I have the time, I will try to complete and push the code also. Fine. So we are able to create the competition. Now this competition we need to show into the website. Fine. Then user will participate onto that, the students. Fine. So let's start on that now. So now after creating the competition, if you visit the home page, on the home page, we have to show the competition. See, these are the competition cards we have. Now in the competition, I don't means in the competition table, I didn't create the image, but we UI, we got it like this. But instead of image, whatever remaining data we have. Fine. Now in the home page, we have to get all the competition, and that competition we have to show it over here according to the date and whatever things we have. Fine. So on the home component, we just need to integrate this API, get all API, this service we have created, right? So see the benefit of service. Like we have created this one function over here. So now wherever you need the competition data, you can just integrate this service. You don't have to create again API call, right? Now let's go do it quickly. So that is our home component. So in home component also we need to inject our service. So that will be SRV is equal to inject. What service we are going to inject? So competition. Fine. Again on the page load we need to integrate. Now see, till now we have done the normal get API integration. On the page load we are making the get API and we are storing it into variable. But the problem with that now, we have to unsubscribe that also, because You are creating a subscription object that will stays over there, so that will cause the memory leak. So another way is like we can use the async pipe. So here I'm explaining another one topic. So instead of creating a variable, subscribing and then storing into that data, I'm going to create an observable type of data. Let's say competition list colon dollar. So we are going to store observable type of data. What type of array I'm going to store? So competition model array of this new observable. So I'm creating observable type of variable over here. It's simple a variable, but in that variable, we are going to store observable type of data. Now in constructor, what we can do, this dot observable is equal to this dot service dot this function. So see here, I'm not subscribing whatever the data I'm going to get it from this function, API call function. I will subscribe directly into the HTML, but for that we need to import async pipe. So async pipe we need to import. Then in home component where we have competition. Yes, I think this is the div. Yeah. So let's remove the static one. And here at the rate for loop. Now here our observable and we will use async pipe. So like what we used to do, we used to subscribe and then store into variable. So that thing we are directly subscribing into the HTML directly. Okay. Now this will go over here. Let me just format. Now over here, we don't have the image. So let's remove the image. Now here we have to show the title. So curly bracket, item dot title will go over here. Then here we have to show the description. So description, let's just save it and check if we are able to see the competition. Currently we have just three competitions. So right, you can see the competitions are available over here. Right now we don't have the image, so that again, like the template got created considering it's a project competition, so it has assumed like so many fields will be there because I have used the AI. But in our object we don't have so many things. So title we have AI invitation, so this we can remove. Here we have to show the end date. So here it will be item dot end date, and again date pipe will be there, so we need to import the date pipe also. Date pipe, and here date, sorry, date pipe and parameter dd hyphen mmm hyphen yy. Teams we don't have it, so let's remove this also. Let's say fine. So you can see date is coming according to whatever we said. So whatever the competition we created that are available over here. Now, so we logged in as a, we have to logged in as a student now. So I think we are logged. Okay, we forgot to show the logged in username also. If you check the local storage, student ID is there. Let's log off again and let's try to log in again. What was the user API? Create all user. So this was my user ID. Let's try with login and password was admin. Sign in. So when we are logging, we are storing the whole object also. So if you check the local storage, see logged user data, and here you get the username. So this email, you need to show it over here. Over here, username is there now. So there we need to show the email. So when we were doing the login part, we store the data into local storage and in our service also. So let's create one more variable, logged user data colon. What type of data? We didn't create the interface or class for the user. So let's go with any. Fine. And by default, we will say undefined. And over here, just like we have done it over here. One more thing. When you are storing the object, we have converted it into the string format. So again, when you are reading it back, you need to convert it back to the object format. So for that, let's remove one more data, constant logged user data, local storage, dot get item, our key name. So key name is logged user. So this we have to pass it over here. And the same check we will add it over here and not equal to null. Means whenever you are reading the data and you are doing something, so we have to add a null check. So this dot logged user data is equal to JSON dot parse. So here we got the string format. Again, we need to convert it to the object. So we have to use this logged user data. We will pass it over here. So in my service, we have this variable. Now, same thing here also we need to do, just like we have stored the user ID dot logged user data is equal to complete result. Fine. Now, so we got the data. So that we need to show into our nav bar over here. So instead of this, so it will be user service dot logged user data dot, it will ask us to add email, I think. Let's check the local storage one more time. Yeah, email only. Fine. Let's save. Let's save. Let's save. And if yeah, so here you can see admin@gmail.com means it's a college login. We are able to see whatever the logged in user is there, that name is getting populated over here. Now we have to we login registration part is done. College has created some competition. Now student will participate in that production. Correct. So the last phase, like student will submit his participation to the particular competition. Right. So let's do that. Now we will log in with the student. So what was the student detail? I think this one, yeah. So let's try to log in with my detail. Let's wait, we logged off. Okay, so in log off also this recent variable we created just now. So in log off function, we need to remove that also. So again in app component, just like this, we have one more data, right? That is logged user. We'll go over here. Fine. Let's try to log in now. This is my username. 112233 was my password. On click of sign in, user found. See, we are logged in. Now, in home component, we are showing all the competition. Let's say if I click on view detail, I should navigate to the submit project with the competition ID, because this is the competition user is going to participate. So on click of view detail, it should navigate to the view that our post competition page, and there we will register for that competition. So that's the component is. Let me show you the UI first of that. There it is. Yeah. So this is the page. So where here we will have the form for submit project, and here we will show the selected competition detail also. That's why we need a route where we will pass while navigating to this page, we will pass the ID also. Fine. So now we have to change our route little bit. So submit project. Now instead of the normal route, it will be parameterized route. So colon ID slash colon ID. Now, so from home component, when we navigate to this, we are going to pass the competition ID. Fine. Let's do that. So over here, we need the router link. So let's import router link. And over here, instead of href, router link is equal to slash our route name. Our route name is submit project. And we need to pass the competition ID. So let's use the property binding because we need to do the interpolation also over here. Static single quote plus here we need to pass item dot competition ID. Fine. Let's save and check it if we are able to navigate with the query parameter now. Fine. So let's see now. So currently we have three competition. If I click on the middle one, we have error. Let's check what's the error. I think parameter name. Yeah. So slash should be first, then this. Let's try now. Every time I get confused with this. Now on click of view detail. Wait, why still? Okay, so you can see our URL is getting formed like this, student project /2. That's because this was correct. Over here, we forgot to add the slash. Okay, let's try it now. Now, if I click on the middle one, see, I'm able to navigate with the ID. Again, let's go to the home page. Let's try with the third. So whatever the competition you click, with that ID, we are able to navigate. Now in submit project, we have to first call the get API because here we got the competition ID. That competition detail, we need to show it over here, correct? So we need to make that another API call, which will get us the competition detail of the particular competition ID. So the API is, this is the API. So let's say if I pass 2 over here, see, I got the current competition detail. No, why? I think URL is, let's try it over here. Some extra characters is going over there. ID. Sorry, question mark ID is equal to this. Do we need a slash directly? Let me just check the URL. Yeah. Okay. So this should be our URL. So make sure on click of edit, you make this kind of API. So this is our API where we will pass the ID of that competition and that competition data we will get. So we have already created a service for it. So let's add one more API call. It will be same like this. Just parameter will be there. So this will be my URL over here. Two should be static. So plus two should be dynamic. So ID colon number, and this ID we have to pass it over here. Get competition by ID. Okay, this is the function. And we are going to get the single instance of. So that's why we don't need it array. So this function we need to call on the page load of the this component. So we need to read the query parameter data. So now in Angular, whenever you have to read the query parameter data, okay, let's just get the UI also. Let me just get the UI of that submit project page. Submit project. This is the page. Let me just get the UI. Let's copy. This will go over here. Right. Now, in this component, we have, while navigating to this component, we are going to have a parameter, query parameter in the URL. So we need to read that, and then we have to trigger that API call to get the competition detail. So for that, let's create constructor, and we have to inject activated route service, private activated route, colon, activated route. And over here, inside this service, params dot subscribe. So whatever the query parameter you can read that query parameter by subscribing to them. Okay, fine. Now here we will say current competition ID. By default, I'm assigning 0. This we need to assign over here. So this dot competition ID is equal to res result dot ID we will get. Whatever the query parameter name you have given over there. Dot ID. So this parameter name will be whatever the parameter name you give it over here, ID. Okay. Why it's giving an error? Yep. Okay. So we need to specify the data type any over here. Okay. So whatever the query parameter we have, that we will read it over here. Then we will need a function. Now we have created API call in our competition service. So let's import that also. Service is equal to inject competition service. And let's create another function. Get by ID. This dot service dot get competition of ID. This function we need to call, and here we will pass our variable, that is current competition ID. Dot subscribe round bracket curly bracket next. Here we will get the data. Okay. Now whatever the data we get, that we need to store it to variable comp competition data. We have created our model. So let's use that over here. Okay. Now this dot computation data is equal to whatever the result you get. So this you will assign it over here. Fine. And this function you need to call inside the subscribe. Once you read the data, then only you need to make this API call, not on the page load. Okay. Now the data you will get it over here. This you need to show it also. Where is the competition data? Let us see. This is call it submission guideline. Okay, here it is. So here we need to show display none, we need to hide. Here it will be, let's say, our title name dot title, then deadline. This is again date pipe we have to use. So end date. I'm not giving the date for now. This will be our description. Item, sorry, competition data dot description. And we don't have requirement or something, right? Let's save and let's test it if we are able to see the competition data, whatever we open. Currently it is 3. So you can see deadline is soon. Let's go back. Let's select the first one. Wait, why it is not visible? Yeah. Now if I click on the, oh, I forgot. I didn't created the proper data, I think. Let's check the get API call. If API call is doing proper on the page load. Oh, it is giving 404. We have some %20. So I think some space is there. Over here. Let's try now. Yeah, now API call is there. See, paper presentation and date is also coming and description, whatever it is there. Right? So now you can see the whatever the competition we selected, that is coming over here. Now here, let me show you the object of the submit. Where it is post. So here you need the competition ID. So now the competition ID, you already have it over here in the browser. So this competition, so now here you don't need the drop down of the competition because you selected your competition already. Correct? So one more thing, like one approach is like you can use this ID and assign it to your object, or here you can show the competition drop down also. And again, you can change it also. Let's say user selected one, but again, he want to change. So he can change it from here also. There are two approaches you can do that. We will go with the first one. Instead of showing this, we will assign the object directly. So this is my object, which I want to pass to the API to create to participate, submit the project. Here you can see you have two foreign keys, competition ID and the user ID. User ID will be logged in student ID and competition ID will be from the URL, this competition. Okay. Let's copy this. Let's create the interface. Now we can create a class or interface by using some another site also. So that will be convert JSON to TS. Some sites are there which will allow you to create quickly. So I have copied my JSON. So this JSON, we need to put it over here and it will help us to create. See, according to the property and the data type, it has created. Now we have created model. So inside same model, I'm creating export. Instead of interface, I will be going with class. And here it will be project. And all the properties we need to initialize again. Constructor. Let me quickly initialize all the properties. So you can see I have initialized all the properties. Now, let me just close it. Now in competition, we need one more API to post it, right? So here, let's copy, paste, and it will be submit project. Fine. And here our URL will be, let's check the URL, project only. Let's copy, it will go over here. Fine. And our model will be our project model we will get like this. Fine. So this is our API. Be some submit. Okay. Now this function we have created, which is going to make our API call, and this we just have to call in the from our component. Now we created instance of our competition data that we got it over here. Just like that, we have a form. So we need to create the instance of our project also. Project obj colon project is equal to, we need to initialize it. Okay. Now we need to bind it. So again, template form is there. So we need to import our forms module. Let's open it side by side. Let me close remaining file. Okay. So we created this object. Now this object we need to bind to our form. So here you can see we have the form. So we said like this, we are not going to use. So for now I'm commenting it. Then project title. So you can see we have text box. So how we can speed up our development. So we need to add ng model in all the on all the input element, right? So what I can do, ng model is equal to, our object name is project object dot. Then we need the name attribute also. So name is equal to. So what I will do, I will copy this for search form control class, and then I will replace that with this. So within one click, I'm replacing everywhere, right? Now here only it will get repeat. Oh, let's remove that. Now here I just need to bind the properties now. So it will be little bit quicker now. So project title, same copy paste you need to do. This is description, same copy paste. Tags, I think we don't have it now. Yeah, we don't have tags. So let's remove that. Team member, it's not multiple. It is going to be a single only comma separated they can add. So it will be team members. Properties we have. Okay, team members also we don't have it. So component description, GitHub link, project title, submission date. So submission date we need. Input. Oh, it's a text area. Oh, sorry, I didn't check the form properly, but anyway, you might be able to understand this. Submission date. It will go over here and over here. Let's remove the text area, and here it will be date. Fine. Team members block we don't have it in the API, so we don't need it over here. Then we have GitHub URL. So GitHub link. Then we have live URL is also not there. I think I had that live URL. Okay, fine. Anyway, so remaining things only we will in. Project file also we don't need. This also we don't need. Okay. So whatever the object we created that we have binded. Now on click of submit, let's go with button. We need to call our API. So click on save. Let's create this function. Now, so remaining things we are going to get from the form, but user ID and the, what do we say? Competition ID, we get it from the URL, right? So this dot project dot user ID. So user ID we are going to get from the logged in user ID. So we are storing the logged in user data into our service, that is user service. So let's inject that service also. So user service, and here it will be user service. Now this user service, this dot user service dot logged user ID. In this variable, we have the logged in user ID. I think it is number and string. Let's convert it into number. Fine. Then we need the competition ID. So competition ID, we have already got it into our variable. This dot current competition ID, which we read from the URL. See over here, right? Then we need to make the API call. So this dot service dot submit project, and we have to pass the this dot new project object dot subscribe round bracket curly bracket next. Okay. Fine. Now let's add a debugger over here also so that I can show you like remaining data we are getting from the UI and some we are reading it from the variables. Let's add it and let's check it. We call the function also over here. Let's save it and check it now. Let's say I'm trying to submit for I'm applying for the paper presentation. So let's say global warning, something my project name, some description I will have. Then, oh my God, team member, we forgot. Team member, we don't have, just the label change, okay? Submission date today and something URL. Now, on click of submit. So now currently, if you see the project object, some data we have got it over here. Now some data we are going to get from our variable. So user ID we got, competition ID we got. Okay. Now we are sending rank and the status as empty because that is going to handle from the API. So let's click on continue. Yeah, so API call is success. So we have submitted the project. Now our project ID was 2. So let's check the submission we have got for the project ID. Sorry, competition ID. So competition ID is 2. Test endpoint. Wait, what's this API? By competition. Let's check if the data is submitted or not. Let me check I'm checking the database. Okay, just give me a minute. Project DB. College project submission. This is my table. Yeah, we got the data, but why it is not coming in the API? Do we have another API where I can see all the projects submitted? This is post API. Project API. So this is that API. Project slash by competition and the competition ID. Where is the get API to get all the competition received? I think again I forgot to create one more API, but this should work. The last API is like get competition by competition ID. Let's try to execute this in the new tab /2. Yeah, okay. So we are getting, see, so one user have submitted. So you can see for this competition, one project submission we have got. Okay. Just like that, let's create one more user, log off, register. Let's say Rahul @gmail.com. I'm keeping the same password, okay? Because password we are converting it, so I won't be able to say it. 112233. User is created successfully. Let's log in. Rahul@gmail.com. 112233. Now I'm logged in as Rahul. Let's apply to the project 2 only again. Let's say first Chetan has submitted the global warming paper. Let's say second is like AI technology. Fine. Some description, date, let's say 20 or something URL. On click of submit. Wait, why we let's check the URL because we didn't showcase the success and the error. Yes. So now you can see for this particular competition ID, we have got 2 submission, right? So now this submission we just want to showcase. So now in the college login, see, almost we have completed. Student is able to register, he is able to log in. College is also able to log in. Then college has created competition and student are able to participate in that competition with this ID, and by this API in the college login now we have to show the submission. Okay, right? So for that part, let's say again in the college login we can add one more page. We have created component norm. Yeah, all project. So here we will show this API. Here we will integrate this API. We will have a project competition drop down. Once we select the competition, we need to integrate this API. and we will show all the participation received for that particular competition. Okay. So again, like we have some more APIs to declare the winner or reject it or something. See, approve or reject, and we can set the winner also. Again, these put APIs are there. So this is just an advanced part. So this I will be completing in the next video. So till now, what things we have completed, let me just overvise. So website landing page we have done, competition we are able to show, student registration and login is done, college login is there, project submission is also done, student list and competition. These two modules are remaining. So this I will cover in the next video following to this. Okay. So again, like if you are new and fresher now, so this project is really what do we say, a good example where you can have role based authentication. Some flows are also there, right? So once I complete the second part now, you will understand the whole thing, like how. And this is a real time application also. So many projects and so many small companies are also there who what do we say, some hackathons or some so many competitions are going on, right? So they need an application like this. So this is a real time application which you can create and you can use it for your college or some companies also. Okay. So I hope the project was helpful. Again, I know like some things I have skipped. I will complete this in the next video. Okay. So I will be, live version will be provided in the project description. You can follow that. I have a YouTube means I have created some groups for the YouTube subscriber. You can join that. I take so many live session. So just to get the notification of those, you can just join that live session and you can directly connect with me also with your query. Fine. So that's it. Thank you. Please do like and subscribe and add some comment also. This will help me to grow.